John, it was an impressive display really from the outset, but what was the most pleasing?
Probably the evenness of it, of the performance, and really following up from last week, our discipline to what we wanted to get done, and thought it was a balanced game. So we knew that Hawthorn would be coming out with some real fire, which they did in that, particularly that first quarter and a half. Sam talked about it during the week about putting the pressure on, and we thought their pressure was really high. It was going into the game. Got two of the youngest teams this weekend for the round, we knew that they come out really hard, and they did, and we were able to withstand that, absorb it a bit, and give a bit more back. And for our younger boys to be able to do that and have that experience is terrific.
And a couple of the standout performances, at least on the scoreboard, was from two young key forwards. What did you make of Logan and Joel's efforts?
Yeah, I mean, Logan's he could have had probably 4 or 5 last week if he did. It was pretty slippery conditions up there. He just dropped a couple of marks, but today he moves well. We know he's a good player. He works on his craft really well, really hard. He's humble. He's a beauty, and so we got rewarded on the scoreboard, which was great to see. And Joel, we sort of had a plan coming into playing just for the 3 quarters. If everything went well, we didn't know that that'd be the case. You're not sure. It's hard to make those plans. But if everything went okay, as far as didn't lose a player, we thought we'd get into that 3-quarter period, and so that was good. And he provided a real target for us.
Yeah, he really lit up that first half. His first match of the season, 4 goals to half time, could have even been more. Seemed to be taking his marks in different ways rather than the high leaping acts he was pulling out last year.
Yeah, he's developing his craft. He missed a bit of pre-season and wasn't able to work on some of his craft that he'd like to do, but he's got back in pretty good nick, and his hands in those marking situations were strong. He was able to launch the ball, provide a real forward presence for us. And when you're a young player up in the ground, you know that a bloke's going to launch at it and give a contest at the very minimum and bring it to ground. You get a bit more forward momentum with your ball movement, and he was able to provide that real focal point for us up front, which is terrific.
So was he injured at all, or was he just you took him off a 3-quarter time management?
He wasn't injured, so we knew that going into the game that if we got him to that third quarter, end of that third quarter, that'd be the best case scenario for him and us, to be able to make sure that he builds on his game time.
Yeah, and does the performance like that show that you've still got a bit of a sting from the grand final, but you just keep going at them?
That's last year. It's about Gold Coast last week. It's about Hawthorn this week. It'll be about Melbourne next week at the MCG. It's that was 6 months ago.
On Logan, though, when he was dropped for the grand final, which would have been hard to take, how impressed have you been with his attitude and the way in which he's gathered himself over the pre-season, have the start to the season that he's had?
No, that was 6 months ago. I mean, he's moved on. There was reasons for that, which we explained last year. He played 17 games last year. It was only done because we needed a ruckman in the grand final. So that was as simple as that. And we know he's a good player, and he's proved it. He's regardless of what happened previously, he's always going to work hard at his game and give himself the best chance of playing well, which is what he did today.
Coming in the middle of the ground, Callum Mills had a great performance today. How important is it to have someone like him who can play all across the ground and not necessarily just be based in the midfield? What do you make of his game?
I think he's a very important player for us. He's won our club champion last year. He's All Australian. He's a very strong two-way midfielder, and when you've got your leaders prepared to run hard as what he does both ways, it certainly helps. And he plays any role for us. He was on wing today for a fair bit of the game. He went inside. We know he can play back. He can play forward if needed. So he'll play anywhere he needs to go to help the team, and that sets a really good example for the younger fellas.
As well, obviously having done it we know you want to play a pressure-based game. He led the game as pressure acts. What do you make of his game?
Yeah, he's got that good mix, Errol, of he knows football for a young player. He really knows the game, and has done since he's come into the senior team from day one. He knows the game really well, sees the game well for a young player, and has got that, really, as you say, that combination of hard defensive effort, first and foremost, strong in the contest, but then can go and run hard forward. His running's outstanding. He'll be we look forward to next week with Melbourne, and we go to the MCG with that our young midfield hopefully learning as they did again today, and they'll certainly learn again next week, and hopefully stick to what they know works.
Have you been surprised at all by the impact Errol's been able to have since he's taken on more of a midfield role?
Not entirely. You see how he goes about it. He just works so hard. He's got a great mix of having fun, having a laugh, enjoying himself, and then when it comes to training, he just trains so hard and watches the opposition tapes and does what good players do. It's no luck with him. He works hard at what he does, and that gives himself the best possible chance. He just works hard at his game.
The half-backs were really impressive today. Florence and Blakey, in particular, their ability to pick things off and then launch attacks. How impressed were you with their intensity despite the big margin that you had?
Yeah, they seemed to want to go to Nick early in that first quarter. They went to him early and tried to reduce his impact. I thought he kept on going and kept on playing at a really high level, despite them trying to take him out of the game. And that Ollie Florent has been terrific since he's been half back. He's played some really good footy for us, winning the contests, been really strong in the contest, good defensively, but then he's terrific at going, and when we get the ball, he makes great decisions as he goes. And I thought he was very good again today.
When in that first quarter, when they went to Nick, that seemed to open up Brady Campbell, and how he was in that first quarter really good with his ball moving up the field. And he went 93% today.
Yeah.
How important is he to that half and moving the ball?
Yeah, well, as in all of those guys, we like them to defend first, and if they get that part of their game right, and particularly younger midfielder types that come through the system as juniors, and then they go back, and if they're able to get their ground sound strong without the ball defensively in the 50-50 contest, their natural talent then comes to the fore. And BJ's been good. He's had a pre-season where we trained him in the midfield, and then we had to put him back when we lost Foxy. So he's got a good combination too of competing but also going with the ball and running hard.
If there's anything negative to take out of today, it's the second week in a row where the opposition sort of come in back into the game late. Is there anything to take from that, or just sort of rolling through the legs late in the game?
We have 9 shots in the last quarter, and there's probably a few a bit buggered. The last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes, it was pretty humid out there.
Looking ahead to the Melbourne game, you've got one of those good problems to have with Buddy to come back and Logan's kicked 5, Joel 4, Hayden McLean's played his role again. How do you sort of balance that out? Do you look at the opposition? Or just...
No, usually has a way of working itself out. I don't probably get into that until about Friday. We think about it during the week, but it usually works its way through, and Lance had a really good training session the other day, and his game last week, particularly early, he was right up and about, and he trained well. He'll get another good training week. He'll come back in next week, and we'll make that decision. Obviously, what we do this week, and it usually works itself out all right.
How far away is Tom Hickey?
No, he's still a few weeks away. Yeah, he won't be back for a number of weeks. He did some jumping and some ruck contests this week, and pulled up well, touch wood. So I'm hoping that he gets a bit of a run at it for the next couple of weeks now. But he'll still be a few weeks away. And Pete's important to keep going in that role for us. All right, thank you. Thanks, guys.